Hello and welcome to my world. I'm of course Fred Kasdan. As you know, 7 nights a week I stream live over on Twitch playing a variety of video games, and the link to my Twitch channel can be found in the description below. And let me repeat that. I stream 7 nights a week, so meaning obviously I use an internet service provider, which is Comcast. Now, full disclaimer, I've been a Comcast customer since 2006, cable and television. For a limited time, I did have the triple play with the phone, which didn't prove to be all that big of a factor that I thought it would be, but is what it is there. For the most part, I've been a very satisfied Comcast customer. However, as with many people, I'm less than thrilled with Comcast's announcement of implementing the 1.2 terabyte data cap this week, with fees and penalties for anyone that goes beyond that. Again, as a streamer, I am fully aware of how much data I use, and I've been fully aware that Comcast has been sneaking these data cap plan. They've been slowly but surely. They've been pushing this out there since 2010. They started off in like some markets. They definitely took a backlash when they rolled it out in Tennessee several years ago, and then Comcast pulled back on it. But now they're sneaking it back out again, and unfortunately, as much as Comcast doesn't want to admit it, internet service actually falls under of being a necessary utility that people actually need, and price gouging them under any circumstances is definitely the wrong thing to do. Because let's face it, 2020 definitely proves that everybody needs internet access, uh, for educational purposes, business purposes. And I do, again, as someone who's definitely wanting to grow their stream and become a Twitch partner and be a full-time streamer and so forth. Yeah, I definitely am fully aware of how much data I use on an average month. So I know personally, for anyone who's a streamer, if anybody who streams on an average of, let's say, 20 hours a week, you're definitely going to come close to hitting 1 terabyte of data. I stream on average 24 hours a week currently as a part-time streamer, uh, and so I know I will definitely hit. I definitely hit the about 1.1 terabytes of data usage a month. Again, factoring in everything else I do online. So there is that factor. Is like 1.2 terabytes of data. That definitely ain't enough. And so if you go beyond that, the Comcast is going to start hitting you with like a fees and penalties like $10 for every 50 gigabytes of data you utilize, up to a maximum of $100 a month. So if, let's say, your average bill with Comcast at the moment is, let's say, $180, which is factoring in the modem, Wi-Fi, let's say 3 cable boxes, I'd say about $180 a month. If you go beyond the 1.2 terabyte data, and depending on how far you exceed it, if you're exceeding it to like the max of the penalty of being $100, that's that's your bill will end up being $300, and it's like, that's pretty damn steep. Now, what Comcast did not tell anybody, and people are definitely looking into it, and I'm definitely smart enough to know how to navigate the site, that they're saying is like, coming soon, have peace of mind doing everything you love online with unlimited data. Check back again in January for more offers. However, this is already rolled out there. There's already a page for it regarding it. Funny enough, there's already a page on it. What they are rolling out: using your own internet equipment, get unlimited data one of 2 ways. Switch to Xfi Complete, which includes the Trinity Zone's Xfi gateway with built-in advanced security plus unlimited data and home Wi-Fi for $25 more a month. Or add an unlimited data plan, keep using your own modem and router, and add unlimited data for $30 more a month than what you're paying now. So it's So yeah, the price gouging thing is definitely a thing there. They are basically looking to fuck over the customers in regards to this. Now, I personally don't buy that only 5% of their. They say only 5% of their internet customers hit anywhere close to 1.2 terabytes of data. But again, I factoring out my own, taking away how much streaming I do, and look, and uh, as a Twitch streamer. But if I think back a few years to before I started streaming, and when I definitely was watching a lot of Netflix, a lot of stuff on Hulu, and so forth, I was easily hitting a terabyte of data a month in terms of how much I was watching, and believe me, I was watching a lot of stuff. Uh, so going back to around the time when the Stranger Things season 2, so like by the time when the Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events series was on Netflix, and the OA. So about that time frame, I was easily, in terms of how much I was streaming, just in terms of stuff I was watching, or even just having in the background, and as I'm working on various stuff here and watching just casually, peripherally, out of the corner of my eye, I was easily hitting that the terabyte data mark on an average month. So kind of makes you wonder where Comcast is getting this. Only 5% of their customers are using it. Maybe only 5% of their customers actually stay below 1.2 terabytes of data on the average month, and everybody else goes beyond that. But that's the only justification there. But let's think about it. Here in 2020, how many people actually are at home more because of COVID-19? People working at home remotely. So that's a lot of video conferencing, and video conferencing definitely falls under streaming. And a lot of people are using HD setups and so forth, because people who've never done any type of streaming or so forth before uh, definitely went after the best equipment and hardware, webcams and so forth that they could get. You could not. Logitech made a killing this year because of it. So a lot of people more video conferencing, and in fact, not only kids that were doing any homeschooling, remote learning, and so forth. That's a whole lot of things there in terms of internet usage and Wi-Fi usage. So you have a lot more folks being at home, and so forth. So it's like, wow, the data usage, that 1.2 terabyte data usage does not add up when you start factoring in. If you have multiple people in a house that are watching anything, that are doing any type of watching of streaming, Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Disney Plus, and so forth. Anybody really doing that? Any online gamers, video conferencing, remote learning, conferencing, and any all sorts of business and things of nature. There is nobody staying below 1.2 terabytes of data on the average month anymore. Nobody. So it's complete bullshit that say only 5% of their of their customers stay below 1.2, go beyond 1.2 terabytes of data when everything adds up. And I'm just factoring in what I know based on my own usage and trying to average it out for the average person. And I'm thinking people that have more people in their households and things of that nature, people trying to stay entertained and so forth, and do things, or branching out and so forth. So that's entirely a factor there. Now, here on the slide, though, Comcast is all going to be rolling out in January, coincidentally, unlimited data plans, which is going to be, if you have your own router, that's $30 a month extra there for unlimited data, or if you're using their tech, it's $25 more a month. Which is makes you go, really, what the fuck? And it's like thinking, it's like, okay, I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna just get rid of like 2 cable boxes, because again, I don't live by myself, and the only reason why I have the cable television, still at this point in time in my life, is for the other person that I live with. So that's it's like, ooh, Comcast, you're definitely going to be forcing my hand here. You're definitely going to be forcing my hand here in terms of different things. So it's like, ooh, Comcast, bad move. Definitely a bad move. Now, from a business side, one could argue what could be the arguments that Comcast should be making here, that they're not brave enough to say as to why they are rolling out these data caps with the fees and everything associated with it, and charge and having a data plan with unlimited data and so forth. Rolling out. Why are they rolling all this out now? Granted, it's been gradual over several years, but why are they making this sudden big push now? With very little leeway between this year and next year, between when this actually starts rolling out in January. It was like you talk about a month notice. It's because 2020 has been a shit year for Comcast. Comcast owns NBC, Comcast owns Universal and Proxy Universal Studios. So so all the NBC networks, so USA, MSNBC, the E Network, etc. Those are owned by Comcast and NBC Universal, whatever it is their corporate umbrella is, and so forth. It's all under that same umbrella. If you remember, many years ago, you had Comcast Sportsnet, and it's now it became NBC Sportsnet. That's the thing. It's all under the same corporate umbrella. They lost a shit ton of revenue this year because of the lack of sports on television. COVID-19 definitely affected everybody in various ways here. Without the advertising revenue, Comcast in and of itself lost billions in terms of stuff that was being broadcast on television. I think they had the rights to the Olympics this year, if memory serves. So that is a huge in terms of advertising revenue, in terms of the Olympic coverage. That not only would have been on NBC, but MSNBC, USA, and again all their networks and so forth. That coverage, that's always a huge influx of revenue there. And remember, most of the Major League Baseball season was lost. A good chunk of the NHL season and the playoffs the playoffs happened, but not in the way anyone would have thought. And the same thing happened with the NBA. And so all sorts of a mess and nonsense there with COVID, basically. So to recoup those losses, and make their stockholders happy, they gotta, price gouge somewhere. And it's going to be on the, what's the one thing that boomed this year? Internet service. So there's that. Add into that Universal Studios, any movies that was supposed to hit theaters this year under Universal distribution and so forth did not hit theaters. I'm not sure how many of those movies that Comcast through Universal was going to be ended up being streamed or in various ways, or ended up being pushed back, but ticket revenues and so forth, any merchandising deals and so forth, all that kind of went kerplunk, so money lost there. And the theme parks, Universal Studios in California and Florida, obviously shut down for a good portion of the summer, losing their big tourist seasons. That's revenue off there. So again, what went up? Internet usage. And so, okay, because the people aren't here, they're not getting the service, they're not coming to the theme parks, they're not at the sporting events or watching the events here, but they're doing all these other things. So raise the internet, put a data cap in all 39 states that they service and so forth. And so there you go. And it doesn't say nothing to least that they're going to start raising prices on cable and internet service outright starting in January. And outright, I think it rolls out in Chicago first, and then they're going to start implementing it across different states and so forth following it. And to see, because the reason why they do it like that is when if they start realizing they start losing customers, they stop it for a time and start thinking about how they can implement it in other areas. So they start in one market and then they branch it out gradually. Anyway, boy, that wraps up this week's rant and so forth. If you got your thoughts on the Comcast situation, or you want to express how pissed off you are over it, leave your comments in the comment section below. I look forward to reading them. Till next time, catch you later.